What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Undiagnosed Baddie, your favorite daily 10-minute podcast. I want to talk about grace today and extending people grace because you never know what people are going through. I remember working at the NBA. I had some really good jobs, y'all. So it started out at like my first office job was like the International Sign Association. And it wasn't sign, but it was like signage. And it was in Alexandria. Matter of fact, there's an entire episode about how I got fired from that job. That episode is called Jonathan Carpenter. Um, Boom, there's that one. But yeah, so when I worked there, that was like my first big girl receptionist job. Very white, very racist. I didn't know how to navigate that type of racism in the workplace back then. But lessons have been learned. We have moved forward. Since then, after that, I worked at the MVA. I specifically worked at the one in Waldorf. Now, this is where this story is stemming from. I was working there around the time of the aftermath of Katrina and Hurricane Katrina down in Louisiana and Houston, and it was devastating. It was one of the most brutal hurricanes that I've witnessed hit the United States in my life. Because of Hurricane Katrina, the water, the floods, the loss of life, the loss of documents, a lot of people didn't have proof of who they were. Now, of course, with every devastation, there's scammers, but sometimes there isn't. And one of the rules that I don't like about the NVA is that if I lose my license and I go in and I say, hey, this is me, I need another license, they still want you to prove who you are. Where that's crazy as hell because if I give you my social, literally every single picture I've ever taken for the NVA pops up on that screen. But they always want you to have some sort of identification when you lose your identification. I remember this lady coming in and she was like, hey, I'm looking for a pile of something here, but she had a stack of stuff. And so she was like, I've been down here several times. Now I knew what I was doing, honey. So I had the option to work in the back where people actually sat down with the workers or at the desk. And I loved working the desk because I knew how to move people, right? We want to move people to get them numbers, and it might not be as many people sitting down getting it done, so it might seem slow. But once we get that line going, a few of us will go sit down and then move the numbers faster. Efficiency. It's always about efficiency and customer service. Anyway, she had a stack of papers and she was just like, hey, this is what I have. I was like, well, we need a birth certificate or we need this and we need that. So she says, okay, I was in Katrina and I cannot get ID because all of my stuff was lost. This is like my 13th time up here. I've waited a month. I can't get a job because I don't have an ID and I don't have a social security card and I don't have a birth certificate. But I can't get a birth certificate and I can't get a social security card because I don't have an ID. I have this, I have that. All I can do is tell you who I am. And that's all I can do. So I said, okay, what are we gonna do? I said, matter of fact, take this number, but I'm gonna take a few more people out this line and I'm gonna help you. I remember this. So she was like, okay, so you do have to, and it's been a long time, y'all, so the MVA cannot come for me. The lady's long gone, but you do have to scan in paperwork to prove who people are. I sat down at my station, call her over to the station. I took every single piece of mail and paperwork that she brought in and scanned it in. Now, back then it was a one scan at a time. So we're sitting there, I'm scanning like 20 documents, typing the name of it. You label it, save, next document, boom. Now I told you she had a stack of paper. She's like, I've been doing everything I needed to do. I can't, like, this is what I was. This is the situation, right? And I remember that had I turned her away, she probably would have lost it. You can tell when someone is like scamming. I'm not saying I've never been scammed by somebody like on the street. I need this, I need diapers, da da da. And when you're in Maryland and DC, everybody got that basketball club. We're selling cents for this and that, right? And so it's just like, she might have lost it. She might have tapped out. And sometimes, even with I don't want to say purposefully, helping people that's scamming. She was not scamming. She was who she was. And I sat and I scanned every sheet of document that she had, because I felt for her. I know how stupid MVA laws are. And especially when, like I said, it comes to proving who you are when your picture is in the system, right? Anyway, because what is a piece of mail gonna do if you have 34 of my pictures? Because I've had, what are they called? Learner's permits, IDs, driver's license, renew this, not passport, but every time you go get a new license, you take a new picture, unless you order it online. Anyway, I say all of that to say, I had to explain myself to someone today about grace that I've given, and simultaneously asking for grace. And I say that because sometimes people just think, oh, you say whatever you want to say, you move however you want to move, you're spoiled, you're this, you're that. And I want people to understand that I'm giving. I'm very giving. I'm very loving. I'm very empathetic, sympathetic, and compassionate. And I think that's what makes me so great when I work in the death industry, right? But I had to explain to somebody today, hey, this is my first time experiencing what I'm going through. Please just hear me. I just need you to hear me. And I'm not asking for no favors. I need you to hear me. And the grace that I'm asking for is for you to hear me. And for what I can gather, about 85 to 90% they heard me. And I'm getting emotional because I just want to say that you never know what someone is going through. And it doesn't have to be level 5 catastrophic like Katrina. But when people are put in places, adversity that they are not used to, trying to overcome a particular thing that's just happening in their life, right? I am just glad somebody was able to hear me today, because that's what I needed. I needed someone to understand me. And I don't think that all these years later, I don't think that I would have been heard today if I wasn't putting out the good that I was all those years ago. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never wanted to stomp somebody out, because I have that rage inside me too. But it's just like I want people to experience grace on their terms, on their conditions, once in their life. I also want you to be able to give the grace to someone else. And so when I say that, most times I ask a question, sometimes I ramble so much that I'm not able to. But if you can, share with me in the comments a time that you've extended grace or received grace, because it gets a little tricky out here. And it definitely gets tricky out here when you feel like you're out here by yourself as an adult doing this time, the first time. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Nobody has all of the answers. That's why people, not necessarily being a traditional job, they work towards something until the end, because nobody has it all figured out. This was a good episode to me. I am happy that I was able to help someone, and I am happy that, someone was able to hear me today. And I hope y'all are enjoying this series. It's amazing how far we've come, and I want you guys to continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe, comment, anything. If you have some topics you want me to talk about, let's get into it. Let's engage. I need you guys here with me every time.